People, what up? What's good? As y'all can see, it's OTA day. It's balance update day, where we do what? We look at the change and we talk about them, y'all. We got 9 cards on the lineup today. Some huge buffs, some huge nerfs. Make sure you hit that like button, man. Let's get as many likes as possible. I don't even have a number that I'm looking for, but let's just get as many as we can, y'all. Let's get right into Young Storm. Wind aid my hand. No, the wind is done aiding you, Storm. You're nerfed. Right, they nerfed her hard, man. So as y'all can see down here, she went from, and I'm gonna bump it up a little bit, right? She went from a 3 cost 2 power card, as we all know her to be, to now a 4 cost 5 power card. So I guess she did get stronger, right? Because 5 is bigger than 2, but her being a 4 cost card is a lot worse for the Storm War Machine deck. That Legion deck in particular. We're going to read this explanation in a minute. I just want to talk about her briefly before we read the developer's note, right? So, my initial thoughts on this, obviously that deck is worse. You can still pull off the same strategy. It's just going to be a little bit more difficult. How can you do it? By incorporating Zabu or Psylocke into your Storm deck, right? Your War Machine deck, right? Obviously Zabu is inconsistent. You're going to need your Storm or your War Machine to start in your deck first, and then you're going to be able to need to play your Zabu, right? And if you incorporate Psylocke into it, you obviously are going to need Storm that turn 3 to actually be able to get that off. If you do get it off, it is slightly stronger, right? Because you're getting 5 power out on turn 3 rather than 2 power, which you were getting before, but it's more inconsistent, so it's balancing out in that way. Also, you guys, her being a 4 cost card, I know some people like to run Storm on their Silver Surfer decks, right? You Storm and Brood in one lane, focus on the other 2 lanes to, potentially Sarah, Magic, and then obviously, Wong, Silver Surfer, that type of thing on the last turn. Can't do that no more, you know what I mean? Because she's a 4 cost card and that ain't gonna work, right? So it's tough. She's nerfed. It's unfortunate, man, because I understand why they would nerf this deck. It's annoying to fight against. It's cheese, bro. You're literally, and when I say cheese, you guys, when I'm talking about like BS decks, like it's those decks where you're not even allowing your opponent to play the game. The Ronin, the Black Widow type. You know what I'm saying? The can't even play cards on turn 6. Like you're cheesing, you're robbing them. So I understand why they would nerf Storm, but how I wish they would have went about this change, y'all. Instead of nerfing one of these cards being Storm, War Machine, or Legion, how about, right, let's buff Rhino, you know what I mean? Let's buff Quake, let's buff Scarlet Witch. We don't really see those type of cards. You could have still used them to counter this deck in particular, but had they had buffed one of those or multiple of those cards instead, I would have liked to, see those be used more as tech cards, to deal with this type of thing, lower this deck's play rate while introducing new or, like, let's say worse cards, Quake, Rhinos, Scarlet Witch into the meta, right? So that's how I would have went about it if I could. You know what I mean? But let's go ahead and read what the developers have to say. Decks using Storm with War Machine and Legion to cut off all opposing plays on the final turn have remained strong. And while this sort of lockout combo can be novel, it can get frustrating to play against repeatedly. We're happy with lots of other stuff that War Machine is enabling, so just want to make this particular combo come up less frequently and require more setup. This change aims to do that while giving Storm some more power to contest on her own location. Yeah, I get it, man, but like I said, I wouldn't even, me personally, bro, I wouldn't even have touched War Machine, Legion, or Storm. I would have just, buffed the cards to actually deal with them, the cards that we don't, that we don't get to see. Let me know what y'all think. We on to the next one. Misery loves company, and I'm feeling miserable, y'all. So they went ahead and buffed Miseries from 4-7 to 4-8 power. Interesting, man. I mean, this card is very strange. A lot of the times when I'm fighting against a Misery, I'm getting cheesed. I'm getting robbed, bro. They're, master molding me. They're Black Widowing me, and then they're Misery on top of that, right? To be able to play like Ronin and Null You know what I'm saying? And I'm stuck with Widow's Kiss. I mean, what is it? Widow's Kisses or Widow's Bite? Y'all know it's too many cards in the game. I'm stuck with one of those. I'm stuck with what are they called? The Sentinels, bro. I can't even play the game. So that deck just gets stronger. I don't like to see this. What I obviously she was annoying. She still is. Was it too strong? Was it too much to deal with? Maybe not. Apparently not, because they buffed her. Let's go ahead and read why they buffed her up. While Misery has enabled a lot of cool stuff, she's fallen a little short of our hopes, in large part because she often removes so much power from her location. With a little boost to her own power, the other player should be forced to spend some effort to win Misery's location, giving the Misery player more room to capitalize on the other advantages she's generating. That's interesting that they think about it, because again, like I'm saying, every Misery deck I fought had Ronin and Noel on it. So even though she's taking away power from that lane, you just play Ronin and Noel in the other two lanes, or Ronin on top of her, Ronin, Noel on top, and you know, so I mean, I don't see it, but I guess, right? Y'all let me know what y'all think of Misery. You know what I mean? I'm not excited to fight this card. Right? If I could keep it a stack, man. Speaking of those strange cards, up next, y'all, we got Electro. They gave him one more power. It's interesting because, you know, obviously you can use Misery with Electro. I never saw it that way. Every time I see Electro, you guys, I always see it with Blink. You understand what I'm saying? So in my opinion, like, the +1 power to this it doesn't really make a difference, because you're not using, like, you're every time I see this card, it's getting blinked out. And they're not playing it again, you know. So it's weird, bro. Let's read what they had to say. Let me try to make sense of this. Players have been trying out Electro in combination with War Machine and Misery, but overall the cards had trouble standing up to other energy generating options. While an Electro deck's plan is often to weasel its way out of his restriction, that doesn't always pan out, and we like playing one card a turn to be a more feasible option. And you know what? It's really these cards that give you extra energy, like the fact that Arsham is in the game and he gives you extra energy for the entire duration of the game, right? It's just like why even use Electro, man? Like why even go for the, you know, the leader, Odin, Doom, maybe Galactus if you want to, type thing, when you can just use Arsham? You understand me? So I mean, I don't know. I feel like this card is in a tough spot because of Arsham, because of the fact that he's getting blinked out every time, because they nerfed Sandman. So, you know, it's not like you can put yourself and your opponent on a even playing field with with you using Electro and Sandman. So I mean, it's tough. Obviously they got to do something. But again, I'm not mad that they gave him an extra power. It's just like, is this what he needed? Like, I feel like he needed something. He needs something else, man. I don't know. How would y'all change Electro? Would you change Electro, right? Let me know, y'all. Let's keep it going, right? I don't want to keep y'all here too long. That Pokemon video was an hour. Up next, Rock Slide. I love to see this. Fuck Rock Slide and Korg. Darkhawk. Y'all know, man, it's too many decks I don't like to fight. Let's go ahead and read 4 or 5. You can't cheese no more. Obviously nobody was using Rock Slide in a Silver Surfer deck, but I mean, obviously Darkhawk, right? So on that last turn, you're not going to be able to Mystique plus Rock Slide anymore. You know, you're not going to be able to you're probably going to have to sub him. You don't want to sub him out. But you're not, what else I was going to say is, you're not going to be able to Rock Slide on turn 3 and then Cassandra on turn 4, right? It's you know, they nerfed my guy. I like it. Did he deserve it? Maybe he did. Let's read. Darkhawk decks have consistently been among the highest win rate decks for a long time, even when their play rates don't match up. However, drawing rocks can be a frustrating thing to play against, and that's been happening a lot more recently with new versions of his deck built around Misery or Agent Venom. I didn't even bring up the Misery, right? It's the Misery Master Mode, Misery Rockslide, Misery Korg, Misery Black Widow, right? This change aims to make players actually draw the rocks less frequently with fewer turns to draw them, and to make the Darkhawk package require a little more building around rather than slotting seamlessly into tons of shells. Word. I mean, they did buff Grandmaster a couple of patches ago, so I mean, if you're just gonna take Rock Slide out of your Darkhawk deck, I guess you just sub him for Grandmaster, you know, Grandmaster your Core, Grandmaster your Black Widow, right? Grandmaster your Cassandra, you know, do something like that, and you can still use him. I mean, he's a little bit stronger, so I don't know, man. Y'all know I don't like Darkhawk, so I can't really give a correct opinion about this change, I feel like, but I like it. Let's keep it going down to Master Mode. I mean, Shadow King. Right, I'm so those toxic decks scar me. I'm calling Shadow King out of his name, but they went ahead and gave him 1 power. Why did they do this? Speaking of Agent Venom, the card has spawned a lot of strong decks. While none of them look so powerful that they require a nerf at the moment, we've been concerned by the low degree of counterplay to this suite of strategies. Whenever possible, we want players to have some way to improve their matchup if they're losing to the same strategy a lot. Since Shadow King is the most direct way to negate Agent Venom's boost, we want to make them easier to include in a wide range of decks, right? And do that by giving them a point of extra power. I like it, man. Also, you guys, I've found success like fighting against Agent Venom decks on my way to Infinite by using, I feel like a Affliction deck is very, very good against it, because I mean, even though, you know, they're powering up potentially, you know, more than half their deck with Agent Venom, you can account for that by, you know, playing Hazmat and hitting half their dudes, right, after they bounce them, or playing, you know, Man Thing, right, because chances are they're playing a lot of 1, 2, and 3 cost cards. Man Thing, you know, you're hitting their whole lane, making your Abomination free, making your Ajax super strong. So, right, you already had some stuff, right? Just in case y'all didn't know, but now you got even more with this stronger Shadow King, man. I like it. It does. It now puts him in Cerebro 3 with Luke Cage too. So that's actually pretty good, right? That's actually pretty decent, man. And what y'all think of? I didn't even speak on C2 losing Storm. So yeah, they did lose that as well, right? So that's kind of tough for the Storm, but Big Shadow King, he's in C3. Let's keep it going. Big Cleezy, Claw. Damn, they nerfed Claw. Went ahead and took 1 power away from his little blaster to the right blaster. Interesting. I didn't think Claw was out of hand. I never heard anybody complain about this card actually, right? Because I feel like, I mean, Claw is I mean, y'all know we got the Claw and Maw going on, the Claw and Ebony Maw. All right, obviously you got your ongoing stuff, you know. I feel like he was nothing too crazy, man, especially given how, you know, how popular Rogue is, right? But I mean, let's read why they nerfing my guy like this. While Claw hasn't been dominating the top of the metagame, he's been consistently very strong since this buff, and is having an outsized impact at lower so for like lower level play, lower collection levels. As a Series 1 card, this has outsized impact on newer players, so in the interest of diversing their metagame, we're taking Claw down a notch, since we still expect them to remain a reasonable option with wider collect. You know what? I think this is a very unfortunate sentence to read, you guys. It makes sense, but what it tells me is, like, you know, those Series 1 cards, and I can't, why won't it let me highlight? Whatever, those Series 1 cards, like, Colossus that pretty much get thrown to the wayside once you get to pool 3 and start getting pool 4 and pool 5 cards, right? Those cards like Colossus, Electra, you know what I'm saying? Who else? In a lot of cases, Mr. Sinister, unless you're like playing some Patriot. Like a lot of those cards just get, thrown out. And so what this sentence tells us is that they're never going to be strong, because they don't want a overpowered, card over centralized in the early game meta, right? So that's tough, man. So it's like once you get out of series 1, just say goodbye to all of them. You know what I mean? I mean, hey man, if I got any newer players watching this, let me know what y'all think of that. Would y'all rather them buff the series 1s and series 2s, or I mean, I don't know. I haven't really played low CL games in a minute, y'all. So I'm kind of out of touch with my opinion about this, but maybe we'll do like a pool to the infinite. I know I started that some months ago. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, man. Let's keep it going though. Daredevil 2-3, right? I mean, this is a pool 3 guy, but so Daredevil, it's interesting, man. Daredevil used to be him back in the day when Professor X. You know what, y'all? I didn't even bring this up. Like, do lockdown decks even exist anymore with Storm nerf, Professor X nerf? Right? Just a question. 2-3, Daredevil, right? Obviously, I mean, of course, you can. What is her name? Jean? Is it Jean Grey or is it Hope? Whoever forces you to play in one lane, you can Daredevil with her, right? Use the Guardians with them. Of course, you can still do some Galactus stuff to a way weaker degree than you could probably at this time a year ago, right? You can still do some stuff like that. It's always valuable to see what your opponent is doing, especially in the card game. It's strange that Daredevil has been as weak as he is, right? But I mean, we could go ahead and read. I definitely think he needed something. So Daredevil is a beloved character and offers a unique way to play Snap. We've been wary of making this card too strong, especially in lower CL score play, because it can slow down games a lot. But we think Daredevil has room to improve for its fans without being played so often that it makes a big difference to overall game length. How y'all gonna worry about game length and y'all still got these 10-minute Odin combos in the game? Right? They still got these 10-minute Odin Wong, like Ironheart combos. Whatever, man. What y'all think of this Daredevil change? I like it. We might gotta use them soon. You know what I mean? How many guys we got left? Meek and Typhoid, or you know what? Let's end on Typhoid. I want to talk about Meek because she's more exciting than him, right? So Meek 1-1 makes sense, right? Power up the discard a little bit, right? We just added scoring to the discard. You know what I'm saying? Now we got Meek, right? We got Swordmaster buffed a couple of patches ago. So let's buff the basic version of discard, right? Let's make everybody forget about Hella. You know what I'm saying? Make everybody forget about Hella, forget about, spamming Giganto, Infinite, right? Let's use some Meek. I like it. We've been excited to see traditional discard strategies make a resurgence with Scorn's release. They've generally been performing well and using a wide variety of the usual suspects, but Meek's performance has been lagging. We've considered buffering this card for a while, but didn't want to overshoot on the new discard packages. We feel confident now that Meek has room to get a little stronger and serve as another option in building these decks. Not mad at it, right? It's interesting though, like, I feel like a lot of the, like, as far as like when it comes down to playing cards in a discard deck, like, you don't want to play half of them, right? Like, you don't want to play Wolverine if you have it. You don't want to play, like I said, y'all, it's too many cards. You don't want to play Proxima. You don't want to play Scorn. You don't want to play Apocalypse. You don't want to play Swarm. So you got 5 cards that you don't want to play. So right, that leaves you, that makes you very limited to, you know, who you can actually put down. So you got Meek, Blade, right, Lady Sif, Swordmaster, Modok, right. So it's interesting to navigate the, you know, the basic discard, right. But I like this as another option for a card that you can actually put on the board, right. Right, so that's everything I got to say about Meek, man. Let me know what y'all think, because we on to the last card. Miss Mary, Miss Typhoid. She got a huge buff, right? This is huge, y'all. So as y'all know, she gave everybody -1 power, but now it's just your other cards here have -1 power. Same stat line. Perfect. Obviously, you know, the main way she was being used was Shuri Sauron, right? But this makes it so that Scar decks, which were already pretty bad to begin with, get a little bit better, because now you're going to be able to play your Atuma in one lane, and you're going to be able to play your Typhoid Mary in another lane, and you're not going to have to worry about your Typhoid Mary weakening your Atuma if you don't have your Luke Cage, or if you didn't hit her with 0, because they changed your ability, right? So now you're actually going to be able to get your Scar down to 2 costs, right, rather than keeping him stuck at 4. You know what I mean? So that's huge. I like it. Obviously, you know, it affects that Scar deck. It affects you know, the classic Red Skull Shuri type stuff, because, you know, you're not weakening your other guys, right? So I like it, man. And of course, you can also throw Scar on the Shuri Red Skull as well, because you can also Shuri your Lizard if you really had a bad hand and you didn't get anybody, right? So let's read. Typhoid Mary has stayed the same for a long while now, but as Sauron decks have fallen out of favor, she hasn't had many applications. She can look appealing for Scar lists, but hasn't really been an option because she brings your... Exactly, that's what I just said. We're making a change to help these cards combine the way many players want them to, and to make Typhoid Mary a more feasible option in decks that play more cards to the board too. You know what? And she also obviously she worked better with Ajax before, but now I for some reason, even though it kind of makes the Ajax deck worse, I feel like she can. I feel like I'm more intrigued in sliding her into an Ajax deck, because every game you don't get Ajax, now she has a smaller scope of negative impact, right? Interesting, man. Real interesting changes this patch, man. I can't say I'm really disappointed in anything outside of, I guess, the Storm change, and like I said, that's really because I would have rather just buffed, you know, Rhino, buff Scarlet Witch, you know, buff Quake, right? Somebody like that. But that's gonna be the end of this video, man. Hope y'all enjoy. Like I said, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, y'all. We on the road to 3K subs. I appreciate y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.